listening to, you are absolutely listening to the George Espenlaub Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm. Now, with no further ado, here comes Georgie!
All righty, this time. Thank you. This time, you are really, I'm talking really, listening to the George Espenlaub Show live in a place called Our World. And trust me, we were deep in our world. I can't explain what happened, but all I know is the tickers are moving, the lights are flashing, and we are live. So, man, we made it back. And we are delighted that we made it back, and we are even more delighted that you can join us. So whether you're down the street, around the corner, across America, or around this world, thank you for tuning in. You might have had to tune in a couple times, but we're here. And Mr. Alan Banks was so gracious. I asked him what we wanted to do, what he wanted to do, what we should do, and he said, let's go for it. And so I thank him for that. My goodness gracious. Oh, my. Maybe, y'all heard of Murphy's Law. Well, Murphy just paid us a visit, and I mean, he just caused havoc and chaos here, but I think we got Murphy booted out of here for now, and he can go bother someone else. Whew, my, oh, my. Ladies and gentlemen, we had Mr. Alan Banks, who is the president, CEO of Proactive Protective Agency, with us several weeks ago, a while back, and we have invited him back again because his message is so vital to each and every one of us. This man's on a mission. He's on a mission to help us understand, show us, tell us what to look for in these troubled times that we live in. He is an expert. And I wrote in our program info this afternoon, I asked people, I think I said something like, please stop or at least slow down and listen to what this man has to say. So, Alan, I welcome you. I welcome you again to the George Espenlaub Show, and this time it's for real.
Good morning, George. Yes, instant replay. Thank you very much for having me on the show and, being able to speak with your listening audience today. I'm really appreciative.
That is one, and we was talking before we got this thing ironed out. This is one of the things that happens when you go live. Your audience even gets to share and react on their end when something goes down. They're scratching their heads saying, what happened? Where'd he go? What's up? And we're on this end saying, what happened? Where'd it go? So being live sometimes, I always said you get the wrinkles and the burps and the blemishes, but it's all fun when it works out. And thank you, Alan, for staying with us. Alan and I were having quite a conversation before we understood or realized, before I realized up here on this end, that things just wasn't working.
Yes, we were.
now I'm getting tickled about it because it's working. Oh my goodness gracious! Give me a second here.
we'll consider it one of our radio bloopers, for something to talk about in the future.
That's right. That's exactly right. I see Mr. Ed Temple is with us. Thank you, Ed, for being here. He's in the chat room. So come on back in, guys. Chat room's open. Bring your questions with you because we have a very interesting afternoon ahead of us. All right, Alan, let's do this one more time. Tell us who Mr. Alan Banks is and what Proactive Protection Agency is.
All right. Well, my name is Alan Banks, and I'm the CEO and founder of Proactive Protection Agency. We are a very high-level security company that we have security operations in Northern California as well as in Southern California. My partner is Rick Rowe. He's a former Department of Defense and runs one of our units. We do everything from contract security, K9, explosive detection, which is where Mr. Rowe oversees those aspects of what we do at facilities. We also do high-level personal protection, or what we call executive protection, for celebrities, dignitaries, corporate execs, in the music, film, TV industry. And with years of experience of over 4 years of my background, I attended one of the best executive protection schools at the time in the United States, in Oakland, Virginia, and went through what would be considered a concise or abridged version of a Secret Service program. Instructors were former Secret Service, military trained individuals, government officials, and they put us through that program, and we were certified as what we call a personal protection specialist. And since then, I've developed my own agency and continue to do training and studies and so forth, workshops, symposiums with law enforcement officials and former SWAT people, and work with law enforcement officials all the way up to personal friends with chiefs of police, and put together a program because I got really dismayed when I would hear of shooting incidents on TV and in the news, and wanted to do something more about it. I like helping people, and so I talked to a news anchor friend of mine to get some airtime to talk about things that I could see from my background that would slip through the cracks, and people needed to have that information as far as preventative measures in addition to what we call emergency action plans, or that's an EAP, and started doing interviews and became a consultant for KFWB News on this subject. And here I am today with an active shooter prevention training program that goes out to schools, businesses, places of worship, and venues.
So you work closely with the local and the state authorities in different matters, right?
Most definitely. Sometimes we work on protection. We call them protection details, but that's basically a security operation side by side with them. And we also, I've gotten together with one of my friends is a chief of police in Ventura County, and we've talked. We've sat on a panel and we've talked about things relating to shooting incidents and enlighten people of things that they normally wouldn't get that information and need to have that information with regards to better security and maintaining security and safety at their facility. This day and age, with the shooting incidents that have occurred, it's can happen in a church, or any place of worship, a mall, shopping store, movie theater. But at the same time, I don't want people to think that it happens everywhere all the time and that they're total effective, because that's not correct. That's why we do what we do. We actually coordinate with law enforcement to go out and give people security tips and put programs together. And law enforcement do the active shooter prevention training drills. All of these things equip people with more information to make you feel more comfortable instead of being paranoid about situations out there. But from the point of view that you don't have to be the effect of it, but you can do something positive about it and put those measures in place. Now, when that's done, you can have a better outcome should a shooting incident occur, unfortunately, or actually put enough things in place to recognize things to mitigate it or diffuse it and actually keep it from happening.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you can go to Alan's website at proactiveprotection.net, and it's a pretty cool site. There's a lot of information there. Just some of the things that's written on the home page. If you're thinking, it'll spark some things that'll get your mind going and really create an interest in this type of thing. The last time you were on, Alan, we talked about what some of the things are that we might see wherever we are, whether it's in a small group, a church, at a large festival. Some of the things that we might see that we should be aware of.
Yes, this is very important. We actually call it environmental awareness, and it's something that any individual can become more in tune with. Sometimes when I see people walking across the street with a cell phone in their hand with oncoming traffic, I'm like, wow, talk about not being there. But there are things that people can recognize. For instance, and I know that I've said this along with many other people before. If you hear something, say something. If you see something, say something. That still holds true today more than ever, whereby the complacency has to be taken out of the picture. In other words, if you see someone that is approaching your facility and, they're suspicious looking, like they're monitoring or doing surveillance, note-taking, photographing areas of your place, you want to bring that to someone's attention. You can't. I'm talking about someone that's outside of your facility. We would call an external potential threat. And that's someone entering your facility or wanting to enter your facility. Even boiling down to a person with the way that he dresses and, the hoodie over the head, the dark shades, what is he hiding? His emotional tone when he approaches you, or what objects he's carrying, how he's carrying them. Is he carrying them in a way to disguise them? Does he have a big oversized knapsack that he's zipping, unzipping, whatever it is that gives you a feeling of being unusual behavior or any sort of threatening behavior. Of course, if he's coming onto your property and he's what we call a 5150 and he's yelling and he's this and that, that's not normal behavior. So you can't just pass that up. Perfect example is, unfortunately, when the Garlic Festival in Gilroy, California, they had a large police presence for that event, yearly event. And they had law enforcement that were in uniform inside the facility. I believe they had a substation there. But the shooter ended up gaining access through cutting through a gate in the back and walking on the property of the event. And he was dressed in civilian clothing. He was also carrying an assault-style rifle, which rings quite a bit of a red flag. We look at things like that and we have to question them. He's the only one in civilian clothing. He's carrying an assault-style weapon. He came from the back entrance access area. Report it. It's something that has to be reported. That looks unusual. It might seem like, well, you don't have enough time, but seconds can count with regards to what we call observation and recognition. And you let law enforcement know. You let someone know. This allows people time to react, take cover, what have you. And those precious seconds of your being able to identify something that might be unusual or even threatening can go a long way in being better prepared to react to it. That's part of environmental awareness.
You mentioned earlier that you don't want people to get it in their minds that this is happening all the time, everywhere. And I think that's a good point for us all to remember. When something happens, and we may be unfortunate enough to be in the middle of it or somewhere around it, what's some of the tips for people that find themselves in that position?
Well, I'll give you some things that, we practice in the field and things that, you can just take on as far as, your normal routine, in today's society with the shooting incidents occurring. My wife and I, when we go out to restaurants or, different events or what have you, we don't sit with our back to the door. And that's done for a reason whereby we can see the coming and going of the traffic flow of people and who's coming in and that sort of thing and what's occurring. We also take a moment to look at access and exit areas to know, okay, if we have to evacuate, where are they? Where can we go? How would we get there? These are things that we just do second nature. It's just part of, I've been doing it enough to the point where I don't even think about it. I'm going to a restaurant, okay, sitting here. That's how we can leave. That's how I can get there. Okay, let's order some food, hon. And it's that sort of that sort of feeling that you have to have that kind of thing in place now, along the lines of just being prepared but not paranoid, but just knowing, okay, this is what I'm going to do to make sure that I know what to do in case something happens and where to go. If a family, and this is one thing that I go over when I do talks and presentations, is going to a different event or, at a venue, fair, concert, festival, sporting event, indoor or outdoor, you really should take the time to go over with family members, okay, what would we do in a situation like this, where an active shooter is actively engaged. And that's the definition, by the way, of an active shooter is an individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a confined and populated area. Mm-hmm. And that can be, in any area, but it's not something that is where you're anticipating something is happening. It's actually occurring at that point. And if a family is going over, let's say, all right, we're going to gather, we're going to bring our cell phones, and when something like this happens, we're going to drill how we would get off the mark, and where we would go, how we would take cover, that sort of thing as a family unit. And things like finding, okay, let's find the evacuation areas or exit areas when we go into the facility that we're going to be in or the outdoor event, and you're going to concentrate on taking cover behind large objects that can protect you. If you do evacuate, you're going to evacuate away from the threat instead of running in an area that puts you in the line of fire, sort of thing. You're going to lower your body mass, your center body mass, so that you're a smaller target. Things like these, instead of not having something in place, and when you're in a crowded area, it just becomes chaotic. If you have little kids, you just say, hey, mom, dad, we're going to do this drill, whereby if something happens and people get scared for some reason and there are a lot of running around and hysteria, we're going to do this. And you can still go over that with younger kids and not alarm them. But gosh, actually have some sort of plan in place with the family when you go out and go to these venues or go to an event, whether it's, like I say, indoor or outdoor, and you have a little bit more preparation with something like this.
I was sitting here thinking, and you probably remember it, when we were youngsters in grade school and in fact all the way up through high school, we used to have fire drills, and we would have fire drills in our school, and the main emphasis that they were trying to get through to us is, number one, there would be someone in charge leading us out, single file, don't run but hurry, that type of stuff. And then
Right.
even at home, there are a lot of families in our neighborhood that we used to practice at home what we would do in case of a fire. If the fire breaks out, we do this, we do that. But outside, there is a certain assembly area where we do the head count and make sure everybody's here, everybody is all right. And I was sitting here thinking, when the fire drill, when you're going through the fire drill in school, and other parts of my life, when you, that muscle memory, when you rehearse it, do you think that when you rehearse something that that you've got it together as far as you know what you're going to do, where you're going to go, do you think that cuts down on hysteria?
Most definitely. I can say that from experience because I've done enough of drills and so forth where a one time over will give you the concept of what to do. But like you said, you have to get it in muscle memory. You develop and sharpen and enhance your automatic stimulus response. Picture someone who has no data with regards to one very important aspect of these shooting incidents, and that's gunfire recognition. I'll take that up as an example. Mm-hmm. What gunfire recognition means is listening to the sound you hear to determine, in fact, if it is gunfire. All right. Mm-hmm. Now, law enforcement personnel, they indicate that fireworks, of course, are more rapid and, being very fast and random, whereby gunfire is a consistent sound. Firecrackers usually don't have a pattern. But if you listen to gunfire, it's more of a pattern with a similar tone each time. Now, when a person is unaware of this, it can cause moments of hesitation, and we all know the seconds, valuable seconds count. So when you have law enforcement that come out to a facility and they're very trained and very equipped at running these realistic simulations of an active shooter situation or attack at a facility, whether it be a school, place of worship, business, venue, wherever, and you go through those drills, it's not a one-time shot. You have to drill those things, off and on. I do not encourage people to do this without setting up a time or at least a date of when it's going to happen so that people are aware that it is an actual simulated drill. This way people don't get hurt. Mm-hmm. And there was even a situation where an active shooter drill was set up and a real active shooter incident occurred and people thought that it was the drill. Now, to counteract that, you want to set up the drill. You let people know we will be doing a live simulation of an active shooter drill with law enforcement and rescue personnel. It is going to be on this day. We will not tell you what time. It will be realistic, but it will be a drill. This way people are prepared for that so that there's not mass chaos and people aren't getting injured and, they do the drill. They also are not complacent with regards to if there's a real situation that happens a week before the drill, they know, hey, this is it. This is a real thing. Drill is happening. Hey, boom, this is an active shooter situation. Don't be complacent. Just react to it as though it is the real thing, whether it is or not. And when those drills are done, they're done to give people a sense of what to do as far as a lot of facilities and a lot of law enforcement implement the run, hide, fight aspect of active shooter emergency response. And one of the first things they say, if there's an escape path, attempt to evacuate. And there are ways to do that. You want to do it safely to the point where you're not putting yourself in harm's way while trying to evacuate. And there are other aspects of, the lockdown and the hide. You don't want to hide in a position where that shooter can visually see you. Then it defeats the purpose of hiding. There are my targets right there. So there's a whole aspect of how you put those things in place. But in drilling them so that they become yours, you're familiar with them, you're comfortable with them, you know that, when adrenaline kicks in, 50% of those procedures might go out the window as far as how you would normally react. But if you've done it enough times to the point where you've got it in muscle memory and you know that, okay, these are the steps I remember, I can put this in place, this is what I can do. But the first most important thing is get off the mark or, lock down or, if all this fails and I have to, confront my attacker, these are the things that I do. When you do that enough times, yes, it does get into muscle memory. Yes, you do have an automatic stimulus response and don't feel the effect of it. So, yes, I highly recommend that be done. And law enforcement will work with facilities in setting up those types of drills.
What about, because the last couple, I guess, shootings that took place in the nation was, I want to call it drive-by, but it was more like shoot as you go. What about those situations?
Well, again, it's when you look at, we have a saying in our field where we ask the what ifs. And I know that for the most part, based on the information that we have and looking at previous shooting incidents, a shooter wants to have a place where there are people. He's looking for targets. Even if there's no selected target, his whole intention is to create as much havoc and take as many lives as quickly as possible. And those targets are going to be people in a populated area. So when you have a venue, have an event at a venue where there is a heavy population or a good amount of people, then I believe every facility should have some security measures in place. They should have security protocol at that facility, whether it's a movie theater, whether it's a mall, whether it's at a nightclub or a pub or what have you. Any place where there are going to be people in a populated area. And remember, the active shooter is an individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a confined or populated area. That's his target, market right there. That's what he's looking for. Mm-hmm. I did a protection detail not too long ago with a VIP, the celebrity, and just because of the nature of where we were and the fact that it was a venue that would draw a lot of attention, we had our armed, trained, active shooter response guys. I mean, they weren't just individuals that were armed, but they were active prevention response trained. And we had them at the facility so that if anything escalated with someone approaching that area, oh, there's a lot going on here. This is my selected target area. Lots of people here. We had things in place. So I would say that, of course, environment has something to do with it also. If you're in a high crime environment, that's one aspect. But also, if you're going to have something where you're setting it up for people to come to that facility and it's a populated area, whether they're inside or outside, you have to have some security measures in place this day and age. You just do.
What are And I guess these are things that I've been thinking about for quite some time. Such things as churches or places of worship. How, who would ever thought that there would be a day that people going to their place of worship would have to have some concern about what's going to happen next, other than going to worship. What are some of the things that can be done to make a safer environment at those places?
Well, it is a shame that, you have that kind of situation in a house of worship, and they're unfortunately more susceptible because they open their doors to everyone. They say, "Come in," and you're welcome. All are welcome here. Mm-hmm. So that actually is a situation where you do want to have more in place, just because of the fact that you are opening your door to any and everyone. There's no pre-screening, before you come in and worship with parishioners or congregation. So what I say on that is, at any facility, whether it's a place of worship, whether it's a school, again, I've named a few different places, but you want to do what we call hardening the target. And what that basically means is that you're going to do and use every security measure accessible to you to fortify your facility and your staff against an attack. And this can be done low-key, but it's done. The intention is to make it harder for an individual to gain access to your facility and give you more time to prepare. And if you are opening your door to individuals, you know what to look for. Some of the things you want to have in place are a security room with cameras, CCTV monitors, digital recording of access areas, who's coming in, how they're looking. You have staff that are trained and posted to monitor the CCTV cameras at all times to be able to look at, the audience. You're kind of watching the watcher, who he is, what he's bringing into your facility, whether it be his emotional aspects, his domestic problems, what have you. But even though you're opening your doors to individuals to come into a place of worship, and you're welcoming them, you still have to have those underlying security measures in place. Have an intercom system with a panic alarm button that can be linked to law enforcement just in case. You never know. Mm-hmm. The security personnel can be in plain clothes. They can be law enforcement. They can be security. And if there are budget restraints or just a comfort level that you prefer, you can have trained volunteers. But those volunteers have to be posted outside the facility as well as inside the facility, because when you're outside, you can see the potential threat entering. When you're inside, you can monitor what's going on. But these are little things that people can do to sort of set up and have some sort of security system or fundamentals in place if you're going to invite any and everyone to your place of worship.
And it all goes back to the fact, correct me if I'm wrong, it's eyeballs on individuals, eyeballs on people coming and going. Is that correct?
That's correct. You're going to be people that are selected to be those volunteers and be those eyes and ears. They're not going to be there to do anything other than basically pre-screening who's in your facility, who's in your room, and what are they doing. Is there anything I need to respond to, report, react to, this sort of thing? And there are many places that you can go to get training on how to enlighten the volunteers that are going to wear that hat, to take on that responsibility. But a lot of places of worship now have volunteers or plainclothes law enforcement or plainclothes security personnel. They're blending in with the congregation or the parishioners. as a means of being able to observe, report, and respond if necessary. And there's nothing over the top with that. In fact, again, all you're doing is putting safety and security measures in a populated area where you're welcoming people to come in and worship. You don't need to feel like you can't do that, but if you are going to do that, just have these basic security measures in place.
Alan, you said you go to Chamber of Commerce's and so on and so forth.
Yes.
Did you mention last time you were here, or maybe I just thought about it or thought of it? But did you mention that you're in the process of starting some classes, perhaps online, or am I all twisted up there?
No, I don't. I don't really go into great detail on that, other than people having the information to go to the website, because my purpose for talking to individuals is, with the information that we have, that we've utilized in the field when protecting our VIPs, dignitaries, corporate execs, what have you, is the same information that we use today. And we're always looking at enhancing it, looking at successful actions that have been working, things that can be improved on. So we're always doing that in our field. And when we get that information, we give it to other people. So my purpose is doing that and giving people data that they don't have. Yes, I do have a training program that can work at any facility, and it basically is an active shooter prevention training program that people. I wanted to make it an online program where people can acquire the data and implement it at their facility, and it breaks down how to set it up. But the most important thing that people need to know is some of the basic aspects of putting a security program together at your facility is knowledge. Knowledge equals power. It gives you a sense of security, a sense of certainty, and feeling much better about how you would respond to a situation, and even better than that, what to look for to prevent a situation. The steps of putting whatever facility we're talking about, putting in security protocols as far as policies and procedures of what to look for, putting in procedures as far as what warning signs to look for and what you do with those warning signs, how to report them, who to report them to, setting up a threat management team there as the entity that investigates and looks at this and responds to it and coordinates with law enforcement when law enforcement intervention is needed. And all of these basic things are things that will, and then of course having an emergency action plan should a situation escalate that you need to respond to. This is a scale of balancing preventative measures along with emergency response and having these fundamentals in place. Every single facility should have something set up like this, whether they get it online, whether they listen to some of the points that I'm talking about today and want to get more information, or it sparks ideas about putting something in place. There are things you can do about it as far as having a program so that you don't feel the complete effect of, well, it's just going to happen and, we will have to just go along with it and see how it works out, or being complacent about it. Most places aren't anymore. There's no more. It hasn't happened at our facility, so we're not worried about it. And fortunately, a lot of people are coming around to, okay, we need something in place, and this is what we're going to put in place. So those are things that I do, and working with law enforcement officials and other people when I go out and do presentations, I want them to have that data. And it is available, and there's ways to get more information that you have so that you can apply it at whatever facility you are.
What is your goal? I mean, I found out a long time ago that you're never too old to set goals. In fact, I think it's better to set goals. What are some of your goals as you look down the road?
Simple. I want to get to a point where we can take these shooting statistics and bring them way down. The day I cherish the day when I hear about them no more, but they are way too high. When I hear of another shooting incident at a school, or people going to an indoor or outdoor venue and scattering in chaos to avoid gunfire, people not being able to safely enter a place of worship. The number of mass shootings in the U.S. this year has already reached 289, and the mass shootings I'm talking about particularly, as of September 3rd, and that's according to Gun Violence Archives. I want to enlighten people. I want to work with law enforcement. We all realize that we have many important facets of security that we can offer to people, and we're coordinating. And this is another thing that I really want to stress to everyone out there is coordination. I want to take what I'm giving on this program today and have people think about ways of coordinating with their civic leaders, with their community leaders, with law enforcement officials, contract security companies, teachers, mentors, and any facility where people can get together and coordinate with regards to problem-solving situations, looking at things in a way to detect or discern something that needs to be addressed, and doing something about it, and doing it in a way that is on the side of prevention, being proactive about it. If I can get people into that mindset, and people are working together in doing that, and working with law enforcement, who now, I mean, they really have a zero tolerance regarding to threats of committing mass shootings. I don't know how much time we have. I could give you a couple of incredible examples.
No, go ahead.
Averting. This is regarding averting a situation from happening. Example, August 2019. Police arrest a 15-year-old boy. He had threatened to shoot up a school in Florida. Authorities said he made the threat in a video game chat room, and said that he was planning to bring his father's M15 to school and kill 7 people at a minimum. He's now facing charges in juvenile court. This is not something that is taken lightly anymore. You can't be in a classroom and say, I'm tired of being bullied. Plus, this guy took my girlfriend. I'm tired of the jocks, the way that, they run the school. There's going to be payback tomorrow. I'm planning on just, if you come tomorrow, you're going to see something you've never seen. You can't say things like that, even if you mean it in jest or just trying to create an effect. Law enforcement takes it very serious. Another situation, a 37-year-old California man was arrested after planning to shoot employees and guests at a Marriott hotel where he worked. Law enforcement said he had basically stockpiled guns and hundreds of rounds of ammunition in his home. And he was going to shoot up fellow employees and people coming into the hotel. Now, that employee who he talked to told the hotel manager, who contacted police. When police searched the suspect's home, they found assault-style rifles and other weapons, and a lot of high-capacity magazines and bullets. And police said the suspect had clear plans, intent, and the means to carry out an act of violence that would have possibly resulted in a mass casualty incident. At the end of that, the police thanked the hotel general manager for calling authorities. Now, those are examples of people coordinating and taking the information, looking at it to discern whether it's a viable threat, investigating it, bringing in law enforcement intervention, and actually preventing a shooting incident from occurring. And that's the kind of coordination I want to see people work more towards with regards to preventative measures and looking at, okay, what other security aspects can we put in place so that we have more to work with in defining a potential viable threat or even an individual who needs help and has situations going on before he goes on a shooting rampage.
So much to think about. Yes, I like that. I like that very much. If we look, listen, and coordinate, who knows, we might prevent a tragedy. Alan, I appreciate you so much, my friend, for what you're doing.
Thank you.
For what you've done, and for your passion, for reaching out to people and letting people know that there are things that we can do, and everybody pulling together to bring these tragedies down. It's just heart-wrenching and heartbreaking, but I appreciate you so much, so very much, and I mean that. That's not flattery. I mean that from the depths of my heart. I thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And I thank you for hanging in there with me this afternoon. Now we can shout the victory. We can.
Yes, we did it. We can.
Yes,
I appreciate again having the time to come on today and talk with people. There's so much data that I have. Sometimes I have to scale it back and just go into a few specific areas of importance. But I'm always going to be out there talking and putting programs in place, working with law enforcement officials and our community leaders, and seeing what we can do to enlighten people and working together and coordinating to bring these shooting statistics down. And, at the same time, I want to say to your audience, go out, have fun, do things, enjoy life. It's not something that we should ever let, these situations present a means of feeling like there's nothing that can be done about it, or you have to be the effect of it or paranoid. That is not the case. You should be able to, again, go out and enjoy life. We are just coordinating with regards to putting some fundamental security measures in place, and it's meant to enhance your feeling of being your comfort level and your certainty about what you can do with regards to these important factors and tips and programs that can be implemented. So I am very happy to contribute to that.
We want you to come back. Excuse me. We want you to come back on a regular basis and bring more stuff or elaborate even more, and we'll digest it.
It would be my pleasure, and I'll try to break it down into layman's terms, because we have all this security, law enforcement, executive protection terminology, and we try to break it down into layman's terms so people can really get the simplicity of these important factors that they can easily adapt and implement, and again have a program whereby they have something from preventative measures and an emergency action plan, and have that comfort level to know, okay, we now have the material, and let's drill it so that we have it, and we can tuck it away in our back pocket and use it when we need to.
Well, we're going to have you back on a regular basis if you'll come back. Excuse me.
It would be my pleasure and an honor and privilege. So, again, thank you so much, George.
And if you get a chance, at your convenience, give me a call. There's some things I want to talk to you about. Will you do that for me?
Consider it done, my friend.
All righty, sir. Thank you. I'll be listening for your call. God bless you. And tell everyone out that way, Espenlaub said hello. Will you do that?
I certainly will. And thanks again for today. It meant a lot to me to be able to speak with your audience, and I'll continue to do so. And we'll talk again, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alan. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, my, oh my, we had us a time getting started this afternoon, but we got started, and once we got started, you couldn't stop us. I'll tell you what. Now, that man there is not only a gentleman, he is a friend. It don't take long to make a friend. You know what I'm saying out there? He's not only a gentleman, but he's a friend. And I will be back right after. What are you doing, Charlie? Okay, Charlie wants to do something here. You do? All right, Charlie. You do it then.
The Swinging 60s.
The Swinging 60s.
The Swinging 60s. The Swinging 60s. The Swinging 60s Show with Harry Burt on Spreaker.com.
Hey, this is Harry over here in Ireland. Welcome you to the Swinging 60s Show. Sunday evenings, 2000 hours GMT. I will play Beatles, Kinks, Beach Boys, Carpenters, Elvery Brothers, lots of classic oldies. We have quizzes. We have all things going on here. So Google the Swinging 60s Show. Be heard. Come into the chat room.
And go visit Harry on Sunday. Well, it's Sunday afternoon, our time here on the East Coast. The Swinging 60s. Just Google the Swinging 60s, and Harry will pop right up there. If you haven't never been to Ireland, you can go to Ireland. Listen, Harry puts on a wonderful, and I'm not exaggerating. Harry puts on a wonderful show. The chat room is hilarious. I mean, good things. I mean, there's just crazy stuff that goes on. You'll laugh, you'll chuckle, you'll hold your belly. And not only that, in Harry's chat room, he offers moldy bread, sour milk, stale beer. I mean, it don't get no better than that. So do that. That's on Sundays. Listen to Harry. Go for it, Charlie.
The Swinging 60s.
The Swinging 60s.
The Swinging 60s. The Swinging 60s. The Swinging 60s Show with Harry Burt on Spreaker.com.
Hey, this is Harry over here in Ireland. Welcome you to the Swinging 60s Show. Sunday evenings, 2000 hours GMT. I will play Beatles, Kinks, Beach Boys, Carpenters, Elvery Brothers, lots of classic oldies. We have quizzes. We have all things going on here. So Google the Swinging 60s Show. Be heard. Come into the chat room.
And you don't want to miss that. I mean, if you go there once, hey, look, I've met some wonderful people in that chat room. And we've made some friendships, and I mean, you know, we're back and forth and contacting one another. So you go there. The Swinging 60 Show with Harry Burke. You won't be disappointed, and he'll be happy to have you. I know he will. One other thing. We're not long from getting out of here. I keep laughing because I think of the fiasco. It wasn't really a fiasco. It was just it was just one of them things that swings on your your last one half nerve. You know what I'm saying? When we was trying to get up and running this afternoon. But I do want to say this. If you haven't been to the Espenblog.com, please go there. The Espenblog, Espenlog. I almost did it wrong. Let me try that again. The Espenblog. TheEspenblog.com. The Espenblog. For years, our radio program and our blog has been intertwined. And that's the way most of us are in that place called the Espenblog. We are intertwined. We don't know if we're facing reality or we live in fantasy. It's all intertwined, so we don't know. If you figure it out, let us know. But go to the Espenblog.com. Miss Ernestine, one of the most stable people, I thought so, one of the most stable people here at the Funny Farm, wrote an article this morning. You just got to read it. I mean, you just got to read it. When she posted it, when she put it up, and I started to read it, I just began to shake my head, and I thought, oh no, it's happened to Miss Ernestine too. Whatever has happened to the rest of us around here, it's happened to Miss Ernestine too. So you got to go there, the Espenblog.com. It's been a great time this afternoon. I'm so thankful that Mr. Alan Banks, CEO and the president of Proactive Protection Agency, was able to come back with us, and we're going to have him back again. We're going to make him a regular around here on the George Espenlaub Show. The nice thing is, if you didn't hear it when it was live, it took us a while. It took us a while to get live. We thought we was live, but we wasn't live. But once we went live, we were live. You know what I'm saying? If you know what I'm saying, that's scary. I don't know who's more scarier, me or you, or both of us put together. But anyhow, oh, my. Just made my day. But I want to thank him so very, very much. He's going to be a regular, as I said, on the show. Tremendous information. Hey, listen, lately we've been going afternoons and evenings and vice versa, and drop in on days that we weren't supposed to be there. But hey, look, we do whatever it takes to make it work. And if someone's got a message, someone's got a song, someone's got something to say, we're flexible. We'll work it out for you. We'll bring you on anytime. Because here's the thing. If you missed the show, you can always go back and listen to it again as many times as you want to. And you can even download it as many times as you want to. Our programs have been downloaded over 1,100 times. I don't know where they're at. I really don't. All I know is they were downloaded 1,100 times thus far, and it's still going up. So they're out there. They're out there somewhere. Someone's enjoying them. So I thank you for that. My, oh my. Tomorrow afternoon, that's right, Tuesday, Wednesday. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll be back at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I got to keep looking at the calendar because I don't know if it's daytime, nighttime, sometime in between. I don't know. But tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, our time, we're going to have a young lady that we had on last Wednesday, last Thursday, last week. We had her on last week. Her name is Nia. I got to remember how she told me to say it. Nia Nolting, and her husband Chris will be with her. Listen, a fine artist, a fine photographer. I mean, a fine everything she does. And we'll be featuring their music. Chris is a producer, a singer, a songwriter. I think you'll enjoy it. You'll put a little clip in your step tomorrow afternoon. So join us at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We'll put more up on the page. I just can't get over it. But we'll shout the victory right now. I know that. Hey, listen, we might just come back on tonight and run this afternoon's program all over again for people. Just because we can, you know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, thanks for tuning in to the George Espenlaub Show. Thank you, Mr. Alan Banks, for being with us. You were so gracious to stay with us, and I appreciate that. So, until tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, join me right here on Spreaker.com. Wherever you're at, have a good day or a good night, and may God keep you right in the center of His hand. Good night, everybody. Good afternoon, whatever it might be.